Company. It's time to end the American nightmare that my mother and I went through. I'm Roger Mano. I'm running for Congress to expand Medicare to every American. I approve this message.
Children at the border. It's a big issue. Tonight we're bringing you clarity and context. We'll head south for a first-hand look at whether all children are being separated from their parents.
We're at the White House getting answers from a top aide to President Trump. And the Verify team is looking into this photo. Is it really from one of those centers where immigrant children are being held?
Later, should workers who depend on tips make minimum wage? That's at the center of a debate D.C. voters are deciding right now.
And the heat wave hits this weekend. I'll time it out for you hour by hour.
The news at 11 starts now. At the southern border, children separated from their parents who crossed the border illegally and sent to what some are describing as prisons. Good evening, I'm Leslie Foster. You've been talking a lot about this, and with the White House invoking Bible verses to defend it, you might be hearing a lot about it at church on Sunday. Tonight, no rhetoric, no spin, just the facts. Here's the first one, 1,995. That's how many children were separated from a parent or guardian after crossing the border in the 6 weeks ending May 31st. Now, that's according to the Department of Homeland Security. Those children are now living in temporary facilities like a former Walmart building in Brownsville, Texas. Those facilities are run by private companies licensed to provide child care. And we're coming at this from several angles tonight. What Congress is planning to do about the issue and what's actually happening at border crossings. First, the White House, where this all began. But why? We sent Mike Valerio there to track down some answers.
It's a fight for the future for 2,000 kids and counting. A blame game now in high gear.
The Democrats have to change their law. That's their law.
But it's not a Democratic law that started all of this. Instead, it's the White House that says parents who now cross the border illegally should go to jail, rather than just sent back to where they came from.
What we need to see is the rule of law to continue to be enforced, and that's currently what we've been doing.
Helena Gary-Fieri is special assistant to the president, and she says the White House is simply enforcing existing law, which is true, but here's the new big difference.
Up until last month, any parent who crossed the border illegally was charged in civil court. Now they're being charged as criminals, which means that they go to jail.
So the parents go behind bars, but their kids can't be charged. That's why these separations happen. The parents face the law, and the kids need to eventually be released.
It certainly is a choice to prosecute these adults coming across the border as criminals. What do you say to these families? Why this sudden
Why are we enforcing the why are we enforcing the law?
To criminally prosecute rather than civilly prosecute.
What we are doing is that we are detaining those who come here illegally.
But advocates say families often flee gangs, murders, and have no choice. Now, a new fate to fear as Washington starts and stalls with kids paying the price. At the White House, Mike Valerio, WUSA 9.
Let's talk about the reality on the border. The Trump administration has promised to prosecute every illegal border crossing under a zero-tolerance policy, but that's not happening. Reporter Oscar Margain continues our coverage from the border.
Scenes of undocumented families walking with their children shortly after being released from federal custody continue to this day. It's what's referred to as catch and release, a practice that the Trump administration says can't end because of loopholes in the current law. These Central American parents, strapped with ankle monitors, are allowed to join loved ones in the U.S. with the promise of showing up to immigration court in a few weeks, even after the zero-tolerance policy was implemented by the Department of Justice and Homeland Security over a month ago.
If you cross the southwest border unlawfully, then we will prosecute you.
It is our policy that anyone crossing the border illegally will be detained and referred for prosecution.
This is how it's supposed to work. Those who break the law are detained for a few days by Homeland Security for processing before they're referred to the Department of Justice for prosecution. During this time, any parent with an accompanying child would be taken from them and placed in shelters such as Casa Padre in Brownsville. But for most families in this Catholic respite center, that's not the case. Blanca Tupul, a Guatemalan mother of 3, crossed the river 3 days ago, hoping to reunite with her husband in South